Two words I loved hearing this year when, or not this year, it might have been last year. So when Steph and I first went away without the kids in 5 years since we've had the kids, and Mum and Dad said these two words to us when we took their motor home. They said these two, actually we had Hamish in the womb still, but we almost were kid-free. And they said two words to us, have fun. Have fun. And we did have fun. We had a great time just going down the coast. We got back, enjoyed seeing our kids again. But I wonder, have you ever heard those two words at church before? Have fun. I'm not sure what you expect to hear at church. Maybe you expect to hear two words like stop that, or do that, or you fool. I don't know. But did you know in God's word, he tells us to enjoy life? And especially you kids, the youth, he tells you guys, enjoy life. And that's what we're going to be looking at today, because often we mistake the idea. We think God is a killjoy, that he just ruins all the fun. But that's an absolute lie. And maybe you've wondered before, if you could just throw off belief in God, maybe you'd be happier. I wonder if you've ever thought that. That you can't wait, to get out of home and be free. Maybe you've wondered that before as well. But nothing could be further from the truth, because this morning we see God saying, have fun, enjoy life. And this sermon that you want to listen to, if you want to listen to any, I hope you want to listen to all my sermons, but this is a sermon you want to listen to. God's saying, have fun, enjoy life. In this passage, there's a bunch of commands, and the majority of them are all enjoy life. So two questions we're going to ask of this passage. It tells us to enjoy life, except we're going to ask, why? Why are we to enjoy life, which the passage answers? And the second question, which is just as important, how? How can we enjoy life? Why are we to enjoy life? And how can we enjoy life? Why does it tell us to enjoy life? Well, the first reason is because when you're young, why does it tell us to enjoy life when we're young? Is because when you're young, you've got energy and not as many worries. And I know all of the older people, they're probably saying a hearty amen to that. He said, we're Prezi, so we say it in our heart. He said, oh, you guys, you've got energy. So use it while you've got it. Because while you're young, it's good. So enjoy it. And that's what verse 9 says. That's what 7 and 8 says. In verse 9, let's read the first bit of verse 9. Rejoice, O young man, O young person, O kid, in your youth, and let your heart cheer you in the days of your youth. Walk in the ways of your heart and the sight of your eyes. Now's the time, it says. Embrace life. It's meant to be lived. It's meant to be enjoyed. Follow your heart. Follow your eyes while you're young. Enjoy it. So that when you seem to have boundless energy and you can run out onto the field without spraining a muscle, go and do that. Or when you can play tennis without hurting your back or pulling your shoulder out of joint, then go enjoy tennis. I know Luke gets his shoulder out of joint sometimes, poor guy. He's getting older as well. He said he's not here. I shouldn't say that while he's not here. It's the time, though, to learn an instrument when you're young. When your fingers are nimble and your brain is sharp, it's time to go on an adventure. When your legs are sturdy and your grip is sure, go on a hike, have an adventure. It's the time to invest in great relationships. When you have plenty of time and when you don't have as many responsibilities. Do it. Make the most of it. And for those who feel less energetic, maybe there's a few here who feel like they're almost over the hill, not quite yet. Or maybe if there's a few who think they're past the hill, going down. Well, for all of us, know this, it only gets worse. And it keeps getting worse. So enjoy it while you have it. So this applies to all of us when we realize this. We're always young compared to where we're going to be. So this passage, when it says to enjoy life, it's for you guys as well. You're always young compared to where you're going to be, so embrace the joy of living where you are. And if that hasn't convinced you yet, all you kids where I should enjoy life, remember your youth is fleeting. Have you thought about that before? When I was a kid, I don't think I ever thought about that. But that's what the Ecclesiastes author wants us to know. Youth is fleeting. It's hevel. He's been going on about it the whole time. It's there one moment and it's gone the next. And when I was young, I thought I'd be young forever. And I looked at my parents and I thought they were old. And I'm probably their age now when I thought that. He said, I used to think they were old, but we're going to be there one day. And I noticed this year with grey in my beard and a little less energy than I usually have, how fleeting it all is, that I'm losing my youth. And one day we'll all lose our youth. And that's what it says in verse 10. Look at verse 10. Remove vexation from your heart and put away pain from your body, for youth, when you're a kid, and the dawn of life is vanity. And we know that vanity word is hevel. It's fleeting. Remember, it's there one moment gone, the next, so enjoy it while it lasts. And don't waste it with worry of what might or might not be. This year, Mission Australia, they do a survey every year of the concerns of young people. And this year, 25,800 young people across Australia, what were their concerns? The top three were coping with stress, mental health, and body image. How we look in front of other people and all those things. I wonder if any of you guys are concerned about those things. Often when you look back at the time when you were younger and many of the things that concern you then, I'm sure us older people can probably tell you kids, you're not as worried about them when you get older. Sometimes you wonder why you worried all that time away with some of the worries that we have as kids. I remember worrying about this recurring nightmare that a giant might step on me. And I was worried. I used to have that nightmare every time I went to sleep. I used to waste days worrying about that. But it was a real trifle. What a waste of time to worry about that in my youth. And then it tells us that in the first 8 verses of chapter 12, this is a wonderful description. Grandma read ahead of Ecclesiastes, and she told me what a great description this was of old age. And she was telling her friends to even have a read of it because it's such a good description. And it's a depiction of an old house that's getting older. And he's saying, eventually we're all going to get to here. So enjoy your youth while you have it. So in verse 3 there, in the verses 2 to 7, it talks about getting older, and then death in verse 7 and verse 6. But in verse 3, it talks about the keepers of the house trembling. Talks about the grinders ceasing because they're few, and it talks about the windows growing dim, if you see it there. And that's all a picture of, one day when you get older, you won't be able to bite into a hard apple because your grinders are few. And you'll have to have mostly mushy food, because it's easier to swallow. And even if you have glasses as thick as Coke bottles, you still won't be able to see very clearly. And that's coming for all of us. One day we'll all reach there. And verse 4, you have the hearing, a picture of the hearing going. Your sleep isn't as restful when you get older, and you wake up at the slightest sound. So you kids, you can sleep in and not have a worry or a care, or not wake up at the smallest sound. Enjoy that while you have it. And verse 5, even with a walking stick or scooter, you'll feel less than safe heading out because you're more frail. And the almond tree, it says, goes white. It's because your hair goes white and your hair changes color. And the sprightly grasshopper, when you see a grasshopper and it's jumping along, it seems to have boundless energy. But eventually, the grasshopper, it says, just drags itself along. Desire fails, it says, and you can ask your parents what that's about later. The day is coming, all right? The day is coming when your back goes out more than you do. And the day is coming when your bones will be able to tell the weather better than the weatherman. Old people, they can tell you that they have an advantage. Their advantage is that they don't deceive themselves that they're immortal, that they're going to live forever like lots of us young guys might do. A lot of you young guys might do. They know that they'll stand before their Creator soon because they're getting closer. And we know that for most of us, they'll meet their Creator sooner than the rest of us. And so they don't deceive themselves that youth isn't fleeting. They realize that. And that's good to realize. We all need to remember it all fades. It all wanes. Eventually we'll go to the grave. And you might think that's a long way off. You might never have thought about what it's like to be old. About what it's like to one day maybe be in a nursing home where you need other people to do everything for you. Remember, for all of us, there's a day coming when you won't have the youth you have now. You won't be as young as you are now. So enjoy it while it lasts. All of it's fleeting. Death comes to all. An English pastor and poet, he had to be a poet as well, in the 1600s, do you know what he bought for his bedroom? He bought a coffin to put in his bedroom. And every now and then he would sleep in his coffin to remind him that his life is fleeting, that his youth is fleeting. And one day he'll be lying in that coffin. Maybe you can ask your parents for a coffin to decorate your bedroom furniture, just to remember, eh? It's all fading. And do you see that in verse 8? He summarizes it all in verse 8. Look at it there. As he began, he says, vanity of vanities, says the preacher, all is vanity. Hevel of hevel, says the preacher, all is hevel. It's all fleeting. It's all like a breath, we've been saying. And it's over. It's a puff of air. So enjoy the life God has given you while it lasts. Enjoy the stage you're at. So why should you enjoy life now? You should enjoy it because you've got energy, the energy you have now. You should enjoy it because it's fleeting. And also you should enjoy it because it's a gift from God. Look at verse 7 there. And the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. God gave you your spirit that you have right now, your life right now. He's the creator of it. It's a gift to you. Our age, our energy, our abilities, our life. It's all a gift from God. So don't worship the gift, like he's saying throughout Ecclesiastes. If you worship the gift, you're gone. You've missed the point. So don't worship youth. Don't idolize the young age. Enjoy it. Make use of it. It's a gift from God, and thank him for it. So if you're a young person right here, right now, if you're one of the kids here, it's saying in your youth, you've been given a beautiful gift from God. You've been given a beautiful gift from God. So enjoy it while you can. Enjoy the time you have. Enjoy the energy you have while you have it. I know as a kid, when I was a kid, I always used to ask my parents this question. It started with, when can I? And then I filled it in. I always used to ask my parents that question. Maybe you've asked your parents that question. My kids, they've already asked, when can I get a phone? Or when can I drive a car? And maybe, I don't know if any of you have asked yet, when can I get a boyfriend or girlfriend? But I'm not looking forward to that stage. It will come eventually, though. And when we're young, we're always asking, when can I do the next thing? We're always thinking, what's the next thing that's coming? I can't wait to enjoy that. Except the Ecclesiastes author says, no, enjoy the time you have while you have it. Don't always look to the next thing that you can do, but enjoy where you're at, because that's a gift from God. So enjoy school while you're there. Enjoy living at home before you move away. And enjoy the work that you can do while you're physically and mentally capable to do it. Enjoy being a young mum or young dad. Enjoy being the parent of teenagers. Enjoy being retired. Enjoy the stage you're at. The life you've been given is a gift from our good Creator God. And if the young person's temptation, is to always ask, when can I? Always reaching forward. For some of us older ones, the temptation is always to reach back, isn't it? This gift of youth, we're always like, oh, they were the glory days. Wouldn't it be nice to be back there? And we're always looking back. And people try to act and live and talk sometimes like they're still teenagers. But when you're 45, don't act like you're 25 anymore. Stop wistfully daydreaming time away, wishing you had your youth back. It was a gift from God, and enjoy it while it's there, and enjoy what God's given you now. It's a time to accept where we are and thank God for it. Enjoy life. Age comes. It's all fleeting. And it's a gift to be enjoyed. And that's why we're to enjoy life. But the next question that he answers in this passage is really well, is how can we enjoy life? We understand why we should, but how can we enjoy life? In what way are we meant to relish in the life that we have? And this is an important question because, as lots of you know, despite the selfies on Instagram or the Facebook posts, we know that with research that our culture is profoundly unhappy. despite all those things. So many are unhappy and don't actually enjoy life. They find life hard and a struggle. So how are we to enjoy life? Well, the first thing he tells us is we're to enjoy it remembering one important factor. Remembering our Creator and Judge. That's how we enjoy life, remembering our Creator and Judge. Because He created us, it means that He knows what's best for us. So many people think that disobeying God is more enjoyable, like I said at the start there, but that's a lie, isn't it? You just need to think. If someone created us, then He knows what's best for us. He knows how we thrive best. So remember, as our Creator, He understands what's best for you. And many young people think that, I wonder if you've thought this, that all the fun is outside of the Christian life. And some people think they're missing out. And I remember thinking that, wondering that as a kid sometimes. But the truth is, the more we live God's way, the more enjoyable life is. And it makes sense. If He made us and created us, then He knows how we can enjoy life best. And do you see that in verse 9? After He tells us to enjoy it, He says, but know that for all these things, God will bring you into judgment. And there what it means is, God's set, because He's created us, He's set God-given consequences for ways in which we go against Him. And He judges us today for some of those things. Remembering God's way is the best way to enjoy life. So, for example, we know the way we're meant to treat other people is by loving them and caring for them. Except if we abuse friendships, and if we gossip and slander, and if we just take from all of our friends and never give, then it's going to be a struggle to make good friends. And if we overuse the gift of exercise, we strain something, don't we? And if we underuse it, it's even worse. And if we abuse the gift of alcohol into drunkenness, then there can be consequences for that. And if we use sex outside of the beauty of marriage, then there could be consequences for that. And God knows that. And so He created us in a way so that if we live His way, we enjoy life more. Remembering God as our Creator and Judge helps us to enjoy life as a gift from Him. He knows best for you, so trust Him. Trust God. He knows what He's talking about. And remember this. I wish I knew this as a kid. I need to remember this now. That the patterns we set in our youth, the patterns we set in our time now, impact us going into the future. So if we set patterns of selfishness and anger, then we're going to struggle with that later. If you're not generous with your stuff now, then you're going to struggle with it later. So set patterns now, where you use wisdom in relating to other people, in making friends, in enjoying God's gifts, in exercising self-control, in spending time with God, in praying to Him. That's all setting up patterns that will help your future self. Tim Keller, he writes a great quote. I love this, what he talks about. He says, your future self will always think your current self is immature. So that means right now you're a fool. So always think you're preparing for your future self. You're not who you are right now. You're always thinking, what am I putting in place that's preparing me for my future self? Because your current self, you always look back and think is immature. I do that with myself all the time. I can't believe what I was like back then. He said, in a few years, I'm going to do the same. So set up for that future self by spending time with God, by growing, by remembering your Creator and Judge. And that's what verse 1 of chapter 12 says again, isn't it? Look at it there. It's such a great verse. You should put this in your room. Decorate your room with this verse. It is wonderful. Remember also your Creator in the days of your youth. And this is a part of a summary of the preacher's whole message. Remember your Creator. And by doing this, we can have wisdom. We can have enjoyment in life. It's where the wisdom of Ecclesiastes comes from. Remembering your Creator is the giver of life. And this is the last time that we're going to be looking at Ecclesiastes here, because we've gone through it all. Hopefully it's not the last time you guys look at Ecclesiastes, but I've loved looking at Ecclesiastes. I pray that you guys have just enjoyed it a little bit compared to all that I've enjoyed. And the wisdom that it gives us is so beautiful. I've honestly been given wisdom and enjoyment of life that I didn't know before by studying this book. And I hope you guys have as well, because it helps me now when I'm stressed and worried about the future. It reminds me, as we've looked, that life is short, and we've seen that there's no gain in so many things that we strive after. We know now that we can't know and control the future. And so I can enjoy life now more, knowing that one day I'll stand before God, my judge and creator. And it's wonderful being going through Ecclesiastes with you all. And let's have a look at how the entire book ends. It's in verse 13 to 14. This is how it ends with it all. The end of the matter. All has been heard. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole of man. Duty isn't the original. Whole of man. It's your essence. It's your life. This is the whole of you. This is what you need to do. For God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. And that's how he ends his entire book. Remember your Creator. So how can you enjoy life? How are you going to enjoy life? As a kid, as an adult, as an older person, how are you going to enjoy it? Remember your Creator and Judge, the gift giver of life, because he knows best. So get to know him. He created you, and one day you'll stand before him. And that'll happen to all of us. So to enjoy life, to remember who God is, it's not just, remembering your Creator isn't just a vague notion of God's out there somewhere. Like, my memory of putting out the bins, where I think of it every now and then, but most of the time I forget about it. But what it's talking about, when you remember your Creator, it means you seek to know him. You strive to find out more about him. You strive to live for him. You strive to enjoy life, remembering your Creator in everything you do. And how do we best know our Creator? How do we best remember our Creator? And we know, as the Bible progresses, that Jesus comes. And what does the Bible say about Jesus? Jesus is the image of the invisible God. And so you want to know God, then you need to know Jesus. Because having fun in life and knowing your Creator always goes hand in hand. That's what Ecclesiastes has been telling us. If you want to enjoy life, then you need to know God. You need to remember him. And this is the point of Ecclesiastes. We can only enjoy things in life after we understand that there's a God who gave them to us. Your time of youth, your time on earth, is the time for the most important decision you'll ever make. Who or what is going to be your God? Who or what are you going to chase? Are you going to pursue? Are you going to seek after in your life, in your youth, and in your old age, and in everything in between? Because there's only two options, right? There's only two options. It's either going to be Jesus, or it's going to be something else. They're your only two options. That thing that we long for, that thing that we strive after in this life, it's either going to be Jesus or it's going to be something else. Ecclesiastes is saying, make your God the living God. Chase, pursue, seek after the living God. because he's the one who gave you life. He's your creator. And we know as the Bible progresses that he's the only one who'll save you. He's the only one who will truly love you. Nothing else will save you. No one else will love you like he loves. The only hope we have in this life is to pursue the path to knowing Jesus, and that path to knowing God, and that path is Jesus. So pursue Jesus in this life. And so here's an important distinction in a passage about enjoying life. Don't chase joy, chase Jesus. Don't chase joy, chase Jesus. Don't go pursuing experiences of joy like so many in our culture run after, but pursue Jesus and the joy will come. Seek after him, read his word, spend time in prayer, fellowship with other have fellowship with other believers, pursue him. And that's what Ecclesiastes doesn't quite get to, does it? But it's what we all now know. To enjoy life to its max, to live life to the full, we pursue Jesus with all of our life. There's more than this. Enjoy life now, pursuing Jesus, living for Jesus, ready to enjoy the life to come. Because that's the beauty of what Jesus reveals to the preacher of Ecclesiastes, what he only hints at and just believes, is that this life isn't the only joy-filled opportunity that we have, is it? There's a more joyous, there's a more fulfilling life with Jesus to come. Don't chase joy, chase Jesus. So a friend of mine, his name's Matt Warren. I'm not sure if you've met Matt Warren before. I think he's been here before, but he's a friend of mine. And do you know how he's spending his youth? How he's spending his life as a young man? He's living over in Niger, all by himself, single, no family around, and he's in the hot desert. It's not a nice place to be living. The heat there is astronomical. It's awful. And he's living there by himself, and each day he's just trying to get to know the locals and trying to tell them about Jesus. Now, most people would tell you that's not a joy-filled life, wouldn't they? That's not how you spend your youth. But because he knows Jesus, because he's chasing Jesus, then he's doing that, and that brings him joy. Don't chase joy, chase Jesus. And at school, while you're at school, you can waste your time away. You can always wish that school will be over and wait for that time to come. But actually at school, chase Jesus. Live for him at school. Enjoy your time at school while you're there, chasing Jesus, wanting to get to know him more. Wanting to read the Bible and find out more. Read a good book that tells you about Jesus. Chase him. And as a parent, it always feels busy, doesn't it? It always feels tiring, and holidays aren't the same never the same as what they used to be, especially the young kids. And what do we do in those times when it doesn't feel as joy-filled at times, when you're tired and exhausted? Well, we enjoy that unique time that we have, chasing Jesus at that time, as we're able to share Jesus with our kids, which is a unique time that we won't have again. And so we enjoy that time. We chase Jesus as a parent and enjoy the time we have with them. And as an older person, where you know you're getting closer to the corner where you're going to stand before your judge and creator, what do you do then? You chase Jesus. You keep getting to know him. You pick up a good book and you read it. And you talk to your friends about Jesus. And you spend time in prayer for other people at church and in the community, because that's what you do, chasing Jesus, as you wait to meet him, as the joy-filled life is just around the corner for you. And maybe some of us today, many of us today, struggle with joy, don't we? And I think that in the end, the reason is because we chase joy instead of chasing Jesus. Joy is the God we're pursuing instead of Jesus. Having fun is the God we're pursuing instead of Jesus. But you see, as we experience the forgiveness and love and fellowship found in Jesus, that's where real joy is found. So do you want to have fun? Do you want to hear God say, enjoy life? And don't chase joy in your life. Chase Jesus and joy will come.